Tonight's program contains graphic imagery of war. Viewer discretion is advised.
ISIS's so-called caliphate is under attack.
It's been an effective summer for Iraqi forces battling ISIL fighters.
The edge of Mosul is close.
Iraq's prime minister says the battle to retake Mosul from ISIS is going more quickly than expected.
Iraqi forces are saying it's going much faster than planned.
Mosul, northern Iraq. Reporter Khaith Abdulahad is on his way to the front line. For more than 2 years, this city of over 1 million people has been under ISIS control. Now the Iraqi army, backed by Kurdish forces and U.S. airstrikes, is trying to retake it.
Iraq's my country. I lived in Iraq. I grew up in Iraq. I knew Mosul since I was a child. My father, he used to take me with him. I walked in the old city, in the old market. I had this connection to Mosul. In 2016, Mosul was declared as this final battle, the final showdown with ISIS. I went to Mosul to see if the liberation of the city will usher the end of this endless war that's been going on in Iraq since 2003.
The operation began in October 2016, and the army quickly defeated ISIS in the villages surrounding the city. But when they entered Mosul itself, the advance was slowed by fierce fighting. ISIS used snipers hidden amongst the civilians to exact heavy casualties. And they began an unprecedented campaign of suicide attacks. It is now 5 weeks since the battle began. Khaith is with the elite Iraqi Special Operations Forces, known as the Golden Division. They're taking him to their commander in eastern Mosul. The route to the front line passes through areas that until recently were controlled by ISIS.
The narrative was the Iraqi army is moving very quickly, ISIS lines are collapsing. As we start driving in, you realize you're not driving through a liberated neighborhood per se, but you're driving through a battle zone.
Unknown to the soldiers, ISIS fighters are lying in wait. Khaith and the soldiers make it past the ISIS snipers and stop at a base the unit has set up in a local house.
Where we are is 380 meters from one front line, 400 meters from another front line. The fire is really close. As we drove, even the so-called liberated neighborhoods, which we are now, is under constant fire, a bullet whished over our heads. The distance between war and civilian life is almost non-existent. It kind of street by street.
The unit's leader, Lieutenant Colonel Muntadar is using drones to direct his men to ISIS positions. He commands around 125 soldiers and has survived several ISIS attacks. Muntadar has a reputation for toughness. To his men, he is known simply as Fular, which means steel.
This is Gakcheli. The radio station is here. We want to clear all this area back to Gakcheli. We will close this area off. I want to secure the residential area. These are tall apartment buildings, so it's very hard to fight here.
The Iraqi army has a bad reputation in Mosul. The population here is mainly Sunni Muslim, the army mainly Shia. Before the ISIS takeover, the army was accused of sectarian abuses and illegal detentions.
The civilians, I'm sure they look at the soldiers and they worry who will be detained next. It's like two people of one nation finally meeting. A week ago, 3 days ago, those people would have not imagined sitting there having a conversation with a Shia Iraqi soldier from the south.
Muntadar says he understands the residents' fears, but he is trying to convince them that he is on their side.
People are starting to trust us, and they are telling us where the ISIS infiltrators are hiding. The people who've been liberated, they say the army is not sectarian. This is not a sectarian army or a Shia army or anything of the sort. It's an Iraqi army coming to liberate.
But the fight has become bogged down in Mosul's densely populated neighborhoods.
Before one of our soldiers pulls the trigger, he needs to be aware of exactly who is in front of him. I mean, an army can fight against a regular army in the usual way. Tank against tank, soldier against soldier. But what is happening here is a dirty battle against dirty people. It's difficult liberating these areas from this filth.
It's dangerous to stay so close to the front line at night, so Khaith and some of the soldiers pull back. The soldiers seem nervous. ISIS fighters are in the area. They arrive in the neighborhood where they will spend the night and meet up with some of their fellow soldiers. The soldiers are on the lookout for ISIS collaborators among the civilians. They have orders from the lieutenant colonel to treat captives humanely. But away from the fighting, one of the soldiers watches videos of ISIS suspects being tortured.
الأحمر هذا مش من اليوم.
A local family has agreed to let Khaith and the soldiers spend the night in their house. They are a mile back from the front line and feel safe. But they're wrong. The war is about to come to them.
I wake up early in the morning. I went outside to the street and I saw the soldier across the street from me, and he shouted, "Mufakhacha, mufakhacha." Car bomb, car bomb.
This is the entrance of the building. Yeah. Get it quickly.
An ISIS truck bomb has exploded a few feet in front of the house where Khaith and the soldiers spent the night. The house has collapsed. Khaith immediately starts filming. He finds the soldier who warned him.
شلون عرفت جاي السيارة؟ شفتها؟ ايه. يعني شفت انا اطلع عادي وشفتك هيك بالباب تقول لي اركض اركض، لو ما اقدر اركض الغرفة هذه انا كان رايح بالغرفة هذه.
ISIS gunmen are now trying to pick off the soldiers, who fire back.
We were in the middle of this huge scene of carnage. Everything is this dark, black, grey mixture of concrete and burnt plastic, puddles of water, debris, burned Humvees. Then the civilians start emerging from the collapsed houses.
Khaith's colleague and producer, Josh Baker, has dug himself out of the rubble. He will later discover he has a fractured spine. No soldiers have been killed. The civilians have borne the brunt of the attack. Several are feared dead under the debris. Those that survived are now homeless.
يلا على السريع تعال. إذا عايز بيدك. شوف قربوا جاي يطلع.
وين الفولاذ؟ تعال الفولاذ.
The soldiers think the attack was meant to kill Lieutenant Colonel Muntadar.
I think that day we realized the complexity of the battle. The civilians are still there. This is a battle happening between two enemies on a land inhabited by the civilians. No one knows how many civilians have been killed in this Battle of Mosul, not even the government of Iraq.
In the weeks that followed, Khaith and many other journalists pulled out of Iraq, and Mosul slipped from the headlines. In December, when Khaith returns, Iraqi forces have made little progress, and ISIS suicide bombings in Mosul have become routine. Today, 3 truck bombs have detonated in a market. The casualties are rushed to a hospital in the nearby Kurdish city of Erbil.
ماشي ولا لا نمشي بالاسواق قاموا يصحون الناس مفخخه. انا اول مره ما اخذت الموضوع اهميه، يعني قلت لما دحقت السوق كل الناس قامت تركض، احنا مباشره قمنا نركض معهم.
شو اسمك عمو؟ احمد. قد عمرك احمد؟ 14.
لا بحب الجو.
زين.
شو اسمه على صوت طلقات في العالم اوترها زباله عبالي الجيش. زين. كان ينزل اياه هو اصلا بدفاع على البيت اشجيها بفرخه طق الطعام. لحقت على هاي الدم قاعد يطلع. زين. عرفت الطعنه.
عرفت انطعنت. ايه. فجابوك انت بالاسعاف؟
ايه.
واهلك ظلوا بالموصل الان؟
ايه.
Since the battle began, thousands of civilians have been injured in Mosul. The hospital's senior surgeon has been struggling to cope.
I have patients, it's 2 hours here, and the patient is vascular injury, and there is no theater. I put the patients here and I do operations. There is no local anesthesia, for example.
So you don't have enough medicine, enough?
There is no equipment at all.
So no preparation for the war?
No, zero preparation, almost zero. There is no any help.
These residents of Mosul have all spent more than 2 years living under ISIS rule.
وشون كانت هالسنتين عليك بالموصل؟
والله قاسية مؤلمة، يعني ما تنوصف ما حياة، عبارة عن عبودية.
More than 160,000 people have fled the fighting in Mosul. Many are living in camps outside the city. Abu Yassin is a computer engineer who worked at Mosul's university.
Compared to home and what we have experienced, we see this camp as a blessing. Yes, it's miserable, but it is still better than death.
He tells Khaith that when the Iraqi special forces first drove ISIS out of his neighborhood, it was a moment of hope.
People started making jokes, saying it's time to shave our beards. The barber shop opened and we all went and shaved. We were happy to see the end of the oppression.
But then ISIS began launching suicide attacks near his home.
The Iraqi army is taking ground, but nobody's holding it. So what is the use of liberating us, but then letting ISIS come back in to kill not only the army, but the people too?
He is now worried that even if the Iraqi army defeats ISIS, life will not improve in Mosul.
What I'm hearing now, speaking to people in Mosul on the phone, is that things are changing. The soldiers who liberated us were one thing, but those coming now are different. So people are scared. Things could change. People have limited patience and time is running out. When you feel you're being killed by the Shia militia, by ISIS, by your neighbor, by the army, what's the point of living? You might as well join the fight yourself.
Since the rise of ISIS in Iraq, thousands of their fighters have been arrested and detained. Some have been taken here to the Kurdish town of Suleymaniye. Faith has been given permission to interview a captured ISIS fighter with a Kurdish intelligence officer in the room. Adil Ali Ahmed says that when ISIS took over his hometown in 2014, many welcomed them, as they were sick of the Iraqi army acting like an occupying force.
They came suddenly. It was like a miracle. They lifted all the checkpoints. There were no arrests. Nobody would ask you where you were going. Because of this, I became convinced and joined them.
كلامك جميل، لكن الأجهزة الأمنية تقول شافوا عندك 79 عبوة لاصقة، 100 لتر TNT، 60 لتر 9 انتحاري، مهرب 7 أشخاص من رياض الكركوك، 2 سيارة مفخخة، 18 اسمه. زين شلون هاي ويا هاي؟
يعني صرت مجبور.
I was forced to do this.
يعني خفت منهم هواية.
I feared them. I had no other choice.
مو برضاي.
Kurdish authorities say he confessed to his role in the suicide attacks.
يعني في مرحلة ما يمكن تودي الانتحاري أو الاستشهادي، يمكن تعتقد أنت تناضل في سبيل الإسلام والدين.
In the beginning, yes.
بعدين عرفت يعني المجتمع ويشوف.
But when I started seeing death and destruction, I regretted it. If I could, I would tell the people I've hurt to take their revenge on me. I mean,
Back in Mosul, the battle has not been going according to plan. Lieutenant Colonel Muntadar and his unit have advanced only a mile further into the city since they were hit by the truck bomb. He says that more than half his men have been wounded or killed in ISIS attacks, but he remains determined to win over the local population.
I want my troops to make a good impression, so I win the trust of the people. Because the people in Mosul have lost trust in the police and army units who were here in 2013 and 2014. There were mistakes. Mistakes were committed here that our military and civilian leaders have acknowledged. There were abuses. There was oppression of the people.
The commander's approach pays off. He gets a tip from a resident that 3 local men are suspected of being ISIS collaborators. Khaith is filming as the men are being taken to Iraqi intelligence for interrogation.
على كسر يتحرك اقول لك لا دخل واحد يحرك يده من عندك ما اسوي لك بس لا اليمنى عندي هذا العظيم هذا اشكرك انت ايش تسوي دواعي نجار لا تقول انت انا احسن الكنده انت بس اقطع على المنطقه اقطع انت ولك انت مصفي والله ما ياخذ عمرك الله ان شاء الله نخلص من عندكم زين ود لا تفرق هاي راح يتقطعون هسه قلت اعترف منها هسه ليش؟ بس مو بداليين ذولا بداليين شباب مرض فوق مرض اللي يمشي من داعش مو بشر هذا
We are here to bring peace and security inside Mosul and defeat ISIS. There are two forces at work here, good and evil. The world is divided in this way. There are people with ISIS, and there are people helping us against ISIS.
The commander is treading on a very delicate balance. A balance between defeating ISIS, killing his enemy, and not repeating the same mistakes that led to the people of Mosul realizing that the army is a force of oppression. In that delicate balance rests the future of Mosul and the future of Iraq.
On the street, a local man complains to Muntadar that Iraqi forces have arrested his son.
لا راح يقتلوه ولا راح يعدموه ولا راح يسووا له شيء يتحققون منه يتحققون وياه حسب التهمه اللي موجهه.
Suddenly, someone spots an ISIS drone armed with a grenade. The soldiers try to shoot down the drone. Once again, they think it was an ISIS attempt to kill Muntadar. The grenade exploded on the spot he had been standing seconds before. Then they spot more drones.
The battle for Mosul is the key to the future of Iraq. It's an international battle. The whole world is watching. As long as I have the ability to help the people, I will help them. But the enemy we are fighting is the most vicious enemy in the history of the world. The people we are fighting, they don't believe in retreat. They will fight to the death.
ISIS has destroyed much of the city.
Special forces now control the eastern side.
War of attrition is set in.
They have yet to enter the west of Mosul.
Once a vibrant city.
You know, I started this journey thinking, feeling a glimmer of hope that the war might actually end after liberating Mosul. That maybe we can have a moment of peace. By the end, because of the level of bloodshed, the level of trauma, I don't think peace will come easily. It's not about liberating a land, it's not about capturing or defeating ISIS. It's about how much hatred there exists in the society. That cycle of violence, unless it's broken, I don't think we'll have peace in this country. I'm leaving with far much less hope than I started this journey.
The battle for Mosul goes on. Muntadar's men and other units of the Golden Division face many more months of fighting ISIS. In a city that still contains hundreds of thousands of civilians. These are the soldiers of the 1st Commando Battalion. They are a special unit of Iraq's elite Golden Division, trained for intense urban warfare. In the brutal battle for Mosul, the 1st Battalion is at the tip of the spear. Their job is to push into the city, killing or capturing ISIS fighters who are hiding among the local population.
اخوتي الضباط والجنود ما نخسر ان شاء الله، هذا وطننا ولازم نحميه.
لازم ندافع عليه لحد آخر قطرة من دمائنا.
This squad is led by 25-year-old First Lieutenant Anmar al-Shamri, a Sunni Muslim from Baghdad.
إن شاء الله مثل ما أخذنا الفلوجة والرمادي من أيادي داعش، إن شاء الله الموصل أيضا راح ناخذها من أيديهم.
ان شاء الله العراق يسوى من تنظيم داعش الارهابي.
Anmar's unit pushes into the Tahrir district of eastern Mosul. They must root out ISIS street by street in an area still full of civilians. Anmar leads his soldiers house to house looking for ISIS. They don't trust the civilians. Anyone could be an ISIS sympathizer. And the civilians fear the soldiers.
هذا الله ينتقم من الدواعش لكل شيء ما خلوا علينا، الله يهجم بكم ان شاء الله. الله يحفظكم ان شاء الله. هلا بكم. فيكم احنا. ساعدونا على السطح. وين ما تروحوا روحوا اخواني انتم. تعالوا على السطح. حتى البولي ده فوق البنزين مالتك. اي والله. صعدوا للسطح. بنتي من الصبح خايفة. ما إذا سمعنا نسجل هذه حكاية. البيت طحنا ما في شيء. هذا البيت اللي وصفكم بعاله؟ اي. تعرفوهم؟ اي. إذا على متحولين.
Anmar's unit has pushed ISIS back and needs to establish a base in the neighborhood.
حتى احنا نلعب لازم كلنا نلعب بدنا نشوف لهم البيوت عالية زين إذا عبرنا هذا الفرع شلون؟
The soldiers occupy a house and move onto the rooftop. They set up sniper positions to look for ISIS gunmen and suicide attackers. Mustafa al-Ghazi is the unit's best sniper. In such densely populated areas, it is difficult to distinguish fighters from civilians.
وين الباب؟ بس مو هنا مو على الشارع. هوال على هذول. العباد دواعي.
ويا ما عندي مسلح هذاك واحد شوف ما عنده سلاح.
اي بس يعرفون دواعي.
شوف هذا شوف ركض قدامي شوفه. هذا شنو هو؟ بوعله. شنو هذا؟ هذا ركض قدامي. هذا. مو عوائل؟
عوائل
ايش تسوي له؟
هذا عائل.
اي شاب قاعد ابوعل انا هسه.
ابكي اخوك هو خطبة مرة ربع.
شطب جاي.
وين رايح؟ لا يرمونه علي طب جاي.
سيدي الفرع هسه صاير شوي على يساري لان ما مسيطر على الفرع.
Sergeant Naif Al-Karani has served in the Iraqi army for 11 years. He fought alongside U.S. Marines in 2006. This rooftop is the farthest he and the other soldiers have gotten into Mosul. The other side of the road is ISIS territory.
ساقطة هاي ساقطة عمي مو ارجع من هاتي تطلع اطلع ايش من هاي لا تطلع.
تريد تستعبر على داعش مو؟
ورانا.
أنا هسه أجيك أنا عبرك على داعش.
ممنوع ارجع ممنوع طب جاي.
هاي طلعة لنا مو زين. تعرفون ولا لا؟ هاي طلعة لنا مو زين مو كل واحد يجي تعال اطلع.
يطبون بنصنا.
هم راح ياخذون البيوت يزفون من البيت للبيت يجون يطبون عليه.
The family goes back into the house, but the soldiers spot an ISIS fighter. Then across the road where he was shooting, another family emerges.
الله يخليك لا تضرب اخاف الله يحفظك لا تضرب.
اشرف.
الله يحفظك.
انهي اشرف.
الله يحفظك والله جهالي قال هذا ابني والله الليل كله قاعد هو بيدنا على الشارع يخوف الله يحفظك. صحيح. والله حتى على اقتضاء حتى بس تشوفونه قريب يقولوا ماكو احد بالبيت يقومون يضربونه.
ندربيكم تبلغنا بكم الباحة. على راسنا واحنا جايين على موتكم.
هسه راح نظل هنا بالشارع؟
لا هسه راح ينزلكم ريس. هاي على جو.
The soldiers are not supposed to let civilians inside in case they are suicide bombers, but they allow the family in.
على كيفك؟ تعال.
السلام عليكم.
والمفتاح بيدك تعال.
انتم ما دولة اسلامية ما كنتوا راشدين هذول والله خاف نحكي يضربونا والله يقتلونا.
لسنا راحت الدولة ولا؟
انت من الصبح من الساعة 6 عاد اراقبكم حتى قال لي رشدي قلت له يابا ما عندهم لحاية قال لي لا.
انتم رايحين وين تريدون؟ شو تريدون؟
انت شو تريدون؟
والله حتى قلت له ما اخليه هذا قلت لا يقتلونا بيه الله.
كل شيء ما كل شيء ما هذولات يمنا روح هذا المناطق كلها السوق مفتوح طبيعيه كل شيء ماكو لا دوله تقدر ولا هم يحزنون.
Forced to wear a veil in ISIS-controlled Mosul, this woman, Mariam, can now show her face in public for the first time in more than 2 years.
أنا أضليت بس أراقبكم كل شوية.
إحنا عاجين هاي أم رسالة
أم مريم. الله يحفظك. والله متنا من الخوف بالله.
A moment of calm. Residents come out of hiding to greet the soldiers.
يعني ما افضل ان شاء الله اليوم باكر
But the soldiers still suspect ISIS fighters are hiding among the locals. The unit arrests 2 men. One of them was informed on by his wife, who said he had been fighting for ISIS.
من انت بداعش؟
انا ما داعش والله.
اخوك يجي وياك، العفو مو داعش، تبي الدولة الإسلامية.
ما سجلوا ما
اخوك يجي وياك.
رايح
بس دقيقة.
حتى جبت عصفور واعترف عليك
ما يخالف.
انا بدي قلت لك
والله العظيم اقتلني.
حتى ما ودك للدولة.
والله لا توديني للدولة. هي مرتب ترفض عليك.
After questioning, the men were eventually released. But the soldiers detain another man they suspect of being an ISIS member.
سيد احكي لك الصحيح والله هذا الولد هسه انا وياه قاعد وياه بالبيت اساله اذا قصيت شعره يا من راسي والله هو هذا شعري. لا مقرطف والله ما لا
سوى كم سنه
هذا الولد هسه جيب لك اياه.
زين عليك انت قصار لك سجن؟
لو عندي شيء انا والله اقول لك
هاي الفلوس من جبت؟
والله ملاكي هو انت قلت لك حتى ما
وهذا الورقه بجيبه 5 اوراق ومنها 20 مسلسل للجنازه. اسمح لي
They want to check the man's trigger finger for signs he has been in battle.
والله ما عندي شيء والله بطلوا الدواعش والله
التليفون مالته ما فارغ تليفونه فارغ كل شيء لا رسائل لا مكالمات لا دنيا.
The soldiers later handed over the prisoner to Iraq's feared military intelligence. Sergeant Naif's family had to flee their home after ISIS captured their town in northern Iraq.
Baba! Baba! حبيبي ها بابا تبيلي عمك كريا يا تشتكي كرامة حبيبي بابا هي بياخذ يا باشا.
As the unit is pushing into a new neighborhood, they come under a surprise attack from ISIS gunmen. Then, an airstrike from the U.S.-led coalition takes out the ISIS position. In the aftermath, a disturbing scene. The soldiers find the decapitated body of an ISIS fighter. They say they don't know who did it.
هم كلهم نفس الساعة. هاي الساعة ما ادري.
Inside the Humvee, the soldiers listen to local ISIS radio. It's an interview with a boy planning a suicide attack.
ساعات أبو عمارة في هذه الحياة الدنيا الفانية قد عادت معدودة. إلى الآن قاعدين على الجهاد. صيتك كده. يشوفوك قاعدين على الجهاد اللي كان في تركيا أو اللي كان من هاي البلد أو أي مسلم.
والله نسأل الله رب العرش العظيم أن يهديهم. والله يتوبوا إلى الله عز وجل ويذهبوا إلى الجهاد. أن أكون في الجنان مع النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والله يتقبلني.
Out on the street, an ISIS suicide bomber has broken through the unit's defenses. The attack came from the neighborhood they thought they had cleared.
هي الماتت جت منا قبل علينا سيدي مات العجله جت
At night, ISIS uses a mosque to broadcast its propaganda, calling for more attacks.
جهة اليمين يمين المدرسة من فوق السطح دا يرمي من فوق السطح دا يصير رماية.
أخاف الله ينطيك أنت.
Early the next morning, a new wave of civilians rush to flee the city with whatever belongings they can carry.
هي العربان تقدر هي العربانة تقدر هي العربان تعبرونها.
The only way out is to walk.
ما قص ما تسوي تطلع العجله
تطلع هسه خليها مر يجي معي يا سيدي قربانك سيدي قربان عليك انت تستعمل معي قربانك يا امي والله نحن ترى مبهدلين مو بيدي يمه
والله ما شفناه والله شفناه ما صدقنا والله
بس انا مو بيدي
ما صدقنا
مو بيدي افتهمين
يعني تعال تخير واحد يجي يشوفهم يا سيدي واحد يجي طبل جيل بوشيا لا حد يجيني بالبوشيا
طبعا هواية خسرنا، هواية انطينا شهداء، هواية انطينا ناس اعزاء على قلوبنا، اخوان إلنا اذا ضباط ولا مراتب، هواية انطينا، مصابين هواية ان شاء الله، وما حد يقدر يوقف. ونظل نلاحقهم الى ان نحرر اخر قطعة من ارض العراق.